Qualité du Canada pour une matinée de réflexion sur un sujet qui nous passionne tous. Grâce à la présentation du rapport de la Commission sur tarifer la congestion routière pour mieux la combattre et contribuer à une économie innovante, nous allons essayer ensemble d'examiner les meilleures solutions possibles pour la région de Montréal. C'est un petit peu l'objectif de la table ronde et des débats de ce matin. Nous sommes rendus à la croisée des chemins où la congestion routière dans la région de Montréal n'est plus supportable, autant pour les raisons de coûts économiques, où elle nous coûte entre 1,8 et 2,5 millions de dollars annuellement, mais aussi en raison des impacts sociaux, environnementaux et de compétitivité entre les métropoles, puisque c'est là que le jeu se joue actuellement. Et on sait que ces coûts vont augmenter au cours des prochaines années, puis ça va s'aggraver en plus avec les chantiers routiers qui vont nous tenir en haleine pendant au moins les 10 prochaines années. Donc, on n'a pas tellement le choix. Le rapport aborde un certain nombre de principes nouveaux quand appliqués à la route directement. Le principe de l'utilisateur payeur d'un bien gratuit, la route dans 4 grandes villes canadiennes. Il propose des principes d'intervention et des pistes d'action qui devraient s'intégrer dans toute politique de transport des grandes villes. Et puis c'est de ça qu'on va débattre. Parce que la façon dont ça va se dérouler ce matin, c'est que dans un premier temps, nous allons écouter 2 présentations et ensuite un panel composé d'experts, de panélistes, vont réagir à la présentation du rapport. Alors, je présenterai le panel dans un deuxième temps après la présentation de nos conférenciers et une période d'échange entre les panélistes, et puis la salle suivra le panel. Donc, sans plus tarder, j'invite Chris Ragan, président de la Commission de l'écofiscalité du Canada à l'Université McGill, département de sciences économiques, à présenter la mission de la Commission de l'écofiscalité du Canada. Il sera suivi immédiatement après par Paul Lannoy, professeur titulaire de l'Institut d'économie appliquée au HEC et commissaire de la Commission de l'écofiscalité du Canada, qui présentera le rapport de la Commission. Le panel suivra. Alors, je voudrais vous remercier d'être venus aussi nombreux pour discuter de sujets qui ne sont pas faciles, pour lesquels l'acceptabilité sociale est toujours un mur à franchir. C'est un sujet d'actualité. Je remercie les panélistes pour leur contribution et la compagnie Copticom qui a pris en charge l'organisation de cet événement. Bonne matinée. Chris, if you want.
Merci Florence. Bonjour tout le monde. It is both a good sign and a bad sign that this room has so many people in it. It's a wonderful sign of people who care about what's going on in their city that you can get 200 people out early in the morning. But it's got to be a bad sign too, because it means that there's too much traffic congestion in this city. How many people here in the last 72 hours have been in a traffic jam? Arms up. If you've been in a traffic jam in the last 72 hours, keep your arms up if you had fun while you were there. So we are here to talk about traffic congestion, why it is a problem, how much of a problem it is, and possible solutions for it. But before I just say a few words about that, I won't talk about our report because I will leave that to Paul. But I just want to say a few words about the Ecofiscal Commission because I suspect many people in the room do not know much about the Ecofiscal Commission. So Canada's Ecofiscal Commission went live last year, November 4th, after a quiet year behind the scenes of hard work and after a few more years of even quieter and harder work behind the scenes. And our mandate for 5 years is to examine ways that we can improve policy in this country, across the country, that will improve both the environment and the economy at the same time. And we believe strongly that that is possible. There are many solutions, frankly, some of them easy and in front of us, that can allow us to improve the economy and the environment at the same time. We are a group of economists, fairly geeky, policy-minded economists. Here are two of them. And we are united by that view that we can actually do better. We are completely independent. So we are not connected to any government, not connected to any political party. We are not part of a political platform. We receive no money from government. We are funded by family foundations and a couple of corporations at this point. We have no dogs in any fight. And that is one thing that I think has given us the ability to speak with a different voice on these issues and to speak with a less polarized voice on these issues. And we are delighted to see over the past year that governments at all levels are actually interested in speaking with us, whether the issue is carbon pricing or road congestion pricing. So that's what we are all about. We have a very narrow lens through which we look at policy opportunities. We are all about pricing pollution, or pricing a problem, if you like, but it's typically a pollution problem, and then recycling the revenues. For those of you who like equations, ecofiscal policies are P squared, R squared. Price pollution, recycle the revenues. Congestion pricing to reduce traffic congestion is a perfect example of what we call an ecofiscal policy. The problem is traffic congestion. The problem comes from the fact that we have, for the most part, free access to our roads. And a cardinal rule in economics is that anything that has a zero price tends to get overused, and traffic is no exception. So put a price on the problem, which is a congested road, and then you have to decide how to recycle those revenues back into the economy to get further economic benefits. So we all know that traffic congestion is a problem. One of the points in our report, and again, I won't go into the details, is that traffic congestion is even worse than we feel it when we are behind the wheel. We feel the waste of time. We feel the anxiety associated with getting to work late or getting home late to see our kids or our spouse. But traffic congestion is worse than that. It's about productivity loss. It's about economic costs of higher prices of goods. It's about environmental and health costs, and Paul will speak about some of that. So we all know instinctively that congestion is a real problem, but we may not know how much of a problem it really is. But the second thing is that we're starting to instinctively understand that our solutions aren't working. The traditional response to traffic congestion, and it doesn't matter which city you're in and which country you're in, frankly, the traditional policy response to congestion is to see the problem as one of insufficient capacity. So we build more roads, we build more bridges, we build more public transit, and then we wonder why after we build all of that wonderful, typically expensive and valuable infrastructure, why traffic congestion doesn't disappear. And Paul will tell you why that's the case. But it doesn't. Over and over again, we find that building more capacity doesn't reduce traffic congestion, and there's a good reason why. So if we all understand that the problem is bad, and we are starting to understand that our solutions aren't working, then it's only a matter of time, and I suspect not much time, before we start looking around for other solutions. And that's exactly why this report has been written at the time that it has been written, because we think we need to look around at other cities around the world and see the solutions that they have come up with. And when you look at Stockholm or San Francisco or Minneapolis or London or parts of Toronto, but only a few parts of Toronto, you actually see some solutions that work. And so I'm led to ask the question, if those solutions work and work well in those cities, why would they not work in Montreal or Vancouver or Calgary or Toronto? This is the last event for the Ecofiscal Commission on this issue. I've just come back from, while Paul was being our spokesman with a fairly crazy schedule in Quebec over the past 10 days or so, I was in Toronto and Vancouver and Calgary and speaking in places in between. There's been a lot of interest about this issue, and I think there's been a lot of interest because everybody has been stuck in traffic and nobody has fun when they're there. So people are looking for a solution. So let me now introduce Paul, who will then introduce the panel and get the show started. Paul is a professor of economics at HEC. Paul and I go way back. Paul and I first met 31 years ago. Wow. That's right, eh? Yeah. 31 years ago. So Paul was doing his PhD at Queen's, I was doing my master's at Queen's, and we met there. And then we didn't see each other for a number of years. But I was delighted when a couple of years ago, I asked Paul to join the Ecofiscal Commission. And he said yes, almost right away. Maybe it was right away, I can't quite remember. But he has been a gentle, quiet voice of wisdom around the table, and it's been wonderful to have him there. So without further ado, let me ask Paul to come to the microphone, and he will get this discussion started. Thank you very much.
Alors, bonjour à tous. Merci Chris, merci Florence. C'est bon, on est installé. Alors, ça me fait plaisir donc de venir vous parler d'un sujet qui soulève de grandes passions. Et juste pour vous dire comment ça peut être passionnant. La semaine dernière, donc après toutes mes interventions médiatiques, je suis rentré au bureau et j'avais 3 messages d'injures dans ma boîte vocale, ce que je n'ai jamais eu en 27 ans là, comme universitaire. Donc, 3 personnes qui m'ont engueulé comme du poisson pourri. Une dame,